for those of you that don't necessarily know the name Coach Herman Boone, I'm going to let you definitely know the story of Coach Herman Boone, because he is the coach that actually the entire movie Remember the Titans was created from. So it's his story that's told on that screen, and I think we've all fallen in love and really can all identify with all the struggles that you went through, and especially it being a time in America's history that was just so explosive, and you were able to bring leadership to not only a team but also a community. So could you tell us a little bit about the ingredients that you used and be able to allow that just not team to gel but that community gel and make a huge impact in that culture?
Well, David, as you alluded to, that all of this took place during the late 60s and the early 70s when America was involved in the Vietnam War, the Kent State shootings and the Pentagon Papers and the emergence of the Black Panthers, busing for integration, you name it. America was heavily involved in all of these things at that time. And to the extent that people felt that they had to wake up, they had a reason to wake up angry about something, the war, the economy, the Pentagon Papers, everything. So the Alexandria City School Board decided at that time on the federal court order to totally integrated schools. I was named at this newly integrated consolidated school of 3 high schools over a legendary white coach with a steadfast following and a popularity, far and beyond the state of Virginia. The white kids didn't like the fact that I was black. The black kids didn't like the fact that I wasn't black enough for them. I really had some problems in getting young people to simply talking to each other, just simply talking to each other. And one of the greatest challenges I had that I think I succeeded very successfully was getting people who had never been within touching distance of each other to talk to one another. Little did I know that by getting them to talk to one another, I found that these young people learn how to accept the soul of an individual rather than reject a human being based on the color of his skin. I learned that these individuals learn to trust one another in spite of what they had been taught by their parents and their relatives and the mores of their community. They learn to talk to one another, trust one another. That trust, David, became the emotional glue that bind that team together. Even today, what a tremendous impact it made that those kids decided to put their differences aside and simply talk to one another. And this is what binds communities together. Trust. Trust binds communities together.
Now, Coach Boone, a lot of our attendees are going to be business people. And, that's not very different from the marketplace itself, where you're talking about there's a lot of miscommunication in the marketplace. And in today's culture, especially today's economy, trust is a big issue. You've seen government issues, you see corporate issues. All those things come down to the consumer of not being able to trust. So really, you used some very good strategies when it came to getting people to communicate first, and that was able to build trust in order to connect them and build relationships.
So often business people tend to set themselves aside from the community. Many business people are not even part of the community. They invest in the community, but maybe they don't live in the community. And one of the greatest things that could happen and should happen with business people and a community is to create trust. Would you buy a set of tires from somebody you didn't trust? Absolutely not.
No, not at all.
It's somehow or another that if business people, if they wanted to impact a community that they either live in or do business in, they're certainly going to have to be a part of that community. They're going to have to feel for that community. They're going to have to know that this community just may be a community that it is impoverished. Like my hometown, one of the 20th most impoverished cities in the country. Business people must have an antenna when it comes to the feelings of a community. Our economy is lousy. we don't know where we're going. Our insurance, people don't have insurance, and people are struggling to make their mortgages and keep from losing their homes. They simply have to trust people with whom they're exchanging money with,
Right.
because this is probably my last check. You see,
Sure.
I may lose my job, so I can't really get in debt. But if I trust that individual and know that that individual is not trying to exceed the limits of interest on my installments, then I would have no problem in spending money. Working people, people who work, and people who are salaried people generally have to spend their money every week or every 2 weeks, you see.
Sure.
They can't hold on to their money. So who do you spend it with?
Right.
I spend it with people who I know have my interests at heart.
Right.
Do they contribute to the community? Do they contribute to the children in our community? Do they contribute to programs that will make our community a better place to live and work? These are the ways that business people can impact a community. Make it better.
Right.
Make it better than it was before they came into the community.
I love that thought. And so we've only got a few minutes here with Coach Boone, so we can't wait for you to be there